Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining today's Tech It Yourself Tech Innovator Tuesday session hosted by RVATECH. I'm Dan Finn with Synergy Technical, and I'll be moderating today's session. Please feel free to use the chat functionality within today's meeting or the Q&A box to ask questions, and we'll also have a Q&A at the end of the presentation. Today's session is titled Maintaining Effective Communications Among Geographically Dispersed Teams. And Ro, if you can go ahead and show the second slide, we'll jump right into it. I'd like to give a quick overview of Synergy Technical as we introduce Ro, not as an infomercial about ourselves, but to highlight the scope of our activity, as communicating with geographically dispersed teams is something that we do every day. Synergy Technical is a Richmond-based technology consulting firm with a global customer footprint across 70+ countries and all 50 states. The company itself has offices up and down the East Coast with employees in the US, Canada, and India. Synergy Technical has most recently been featured in multiple Microsoft blog posts. We've been awarded the prestigious Microsoft 365 Security Deployment Partner of the Year award in February, and Rohana herself was named RVATECH Executive of the Year in 2018. With a focus on securely enabling a mobile workforce, Synergy Technical has practices in professional services and consulting, managed services, licensing, and hardware, and maintains over 2 million cloud users within our customer base across companies of all shapes and sizes. Ro is the founder and CEO of Synergy Technical. Prior to Synergy Technical, she was the CIO at a global Fortune 500. Her experience in communicating across global teams and current leadership position of a company with triple-digit year-over-year growth requires Ro to stay abreast of new and emerging technologies and trends. Today, she is here to discuss maintaining effective communications among geographically distributed teams. Ro, take it away.
All right, so I'm going to share my camera for just a second. So if people have not met me before, they can see me. Let me just see if well, maybe I'm not going to share my camera. Never mind. So clearly we don't use Zoom. And Dan, can you still hear me okay?
I can, yep, not a problem.
Just making sure we're moving forward. So there are a few challenges that we're addressing in today's environment. And as Dan mentioned, we are a global company, so we do business all over the world every day. We have customers all over the world, and we actually have employees in multiple geographic locations. So we're dealing with this today. As a quick aside, we had planned about 4 weeks ago, we had a team that was in Seattle and San Francisco, kind of when all of this stuff broke out. And we had planned a all hands at home day for all Synergy Technical employees. Again, we work very distributed and we have people that work from home full time, but we had never been in a situation where everyone in the entire organization was going to be working from home on one day. So we went ahead and we planned that. We sent everyone home, and that was about 3 weeks ago now. And, you know, as everybody knows, kind of the world fell apart and none of us have been back. So without even meaning to, we implemented a DR and business continuity plan. And we're doing it as a test and just never got back to the office. So there are some challenges that we are all addressing today. And the first is that we've really got millions of people that are working from home that have never done this before. We're fortunate at Synergy Technical because we have had work from home capabilities for a long time, and our customers are certainly used to us doing that, and our customers do it. But there are a lot of people that this is a really, really new scenario. And I think the number 2 point is, it's not just all of us grown-ups are working from home. We have kids at home now also with us. I've got a college student who's home from Virginia Tech that I can tell you does not want to be home with her parents, with not only a curfew, but she's not allowed to leave the house. So, you know, we're all dealing with situations that we were never expecting to deal with. The other thing is that, you know, it's one thing to work from home for a couple days. It's another thing to work from home for a week. When you're staring at weeks on end, what can happen is employees can really start to feel isolated and disconnected and uninformed because we've lost that social interaction that we're all used to getting. Because even in work from home scenarios, people were coming into the office, or they were going to client meetings, or they were speaking at, conventions, things were happening. We don't have any of that anymore. And so what we're seeing is that people are starting to really feel isolated. If you're in a management role or a supervisory role, and you have historically managed your staff and they're sitting in front of you, it's a little bit different when all of a sudden everybody's at home. And so people are having to work through, how do I manage my day without my supervisor necessarily telling me all day, every day, what it is I need to be doing? How am I going to manage my time in this new reality that we're in? And again, employees are having to develop new habits. They're having to keep documentation of work interaction, because some companies are saying, hey, we sent you home, but you have to show us what you're working on. We can't just assume that you're working. And employees are really learning how to communicate virtually, and that's it, without that face-to-face interaction that we're all so used to. The other thing that we're seeing is that people may be working from workstations and devices that are not company issued. Again, at Synergy, we were able to pick up and take home all of our laptops and really not skip a beat. But there are a lot of companies that most of their employees maybe had desktop computers, and those desktop computers may or may not have gone home with them. And so people might be actually working on BYOD devices, which is, something new that we need to plan for. The other thing that we're seeing is that in some cases, employees may or may not even have access to corporate networks. So they need to figure out how they're going to keep working on whatever it is they need to be working on, but not necessarily maybe have a VPN connection because they're working from a BYOD device, and we don't allow VPN clients on personal computers, things like that. So there's a lot of challenges that we're dealing with today that are, while they've always been challenges working from home, they're certainly new in the global scheme of really what we've got going on. So how do you connect and engage your distributed team members? And this is something that we have continually worked on. We work on with our customers, and we work with technology that enables us to do that. So really what you need to do is you need to empower them to be able to get their job done. You need to provide a secure shared workspace so that they can all collaborate in one place. And you need your employees to be working as a team. So empower them and provide a secure shared workspace for teamwork. That's really what we're focused on here. We're going to talk about Microsoft Teams. I want to be really careful that this doesn't turn into a commercial for Microsoft Teams. We do, we're a Microsoft partner, so we do a lot of Teams implementation, and this is the tool set that we know. There are certainly other tool sets out there that do similar functions. I can't really speak to them because I don't work in them. We're a Teams partner. But certainly there are other ways to do what it is that we're going to talk about here. So with that, what I want to do is get into the basics of Teams and how we use Teams today. So we're going to go through some screenshots. Normally when we do Teams presentations or Teams demos, and I'll tell you that I don't demo Teams very often, but I certainly have team members that do. But we use demo tenants, or so we use demo sites. I didn't want to do that because a lot of that content doesn't make sense for today. And I wanted to make sure that we were showing you how we're really using these tools and how we use them every day. So you're going to see a lot of screenshots from within Synergy's Teams implementation. I've redacted out any confidential information or any client information. So when you see big black blotches across the screen, that's really me, being real careful on making sure we're not exposing customer information or anything internal that we really can't be showing you. So what I'm going to do is I'm working on a surface because we're a Microsoft partner, so I'm going to draw all over my screen. But we're going to talk about the basics of Teams. So the first thing is a team, and these are teams here, is really a group of individuals that need to work together on some shared thing. And it can be on a project, it can be on a department level, it can be cross company. So a team can be, like in this case, this is a team that we share with Microsoft, where we're working with Microsoft on some very specific things. In our case, we set up teams by major department. So you can see these here. HR, there's a few of them. We also set up teams by project. So we have teams established for projects that we work on with customers. This particular team, Synergy Technical LLC, is an organization-wide team. So by default, when you get provisioned license to Synergy, you get added to this team and you're able to see that content. Within a team, we have this concept of channels. And so channels allow us to basically create subcontainers for topics within that team. So you can see in the Synergy Technical team, and really in every team, there's always a general channel, which is just sort of general communication. You can see that we've got a channel for approved marketing content. So when our marketing team creates consumable content that anyone in the company can use, they post it here. Our HR team posts handbooks, forms, policies, and all of that sort of lands here. The other thing to know is that if you're not a member of a team, in our tenant, you can't see that team. So while I can see all of these teams, if you're not in HR, you don't necessarily see that team. So some security there. The other thing to know is we have this concept of private versus public channels. And what that really means is that when I've got this lock here, that channel is only accessible to a subset of individuals that belong to this team. So this operations processing team is made up of quite a few individuals who have access to all of this content, but these individual channels are only accessible and viewable by certain individuals. So you can get pretty granular in your security. Along the left of the Teams client here, you can see we've got some shortcuts to various functionality. The activity feed is really everything, and I took these screenshots yesterday. This is really everything that has happened recently that I might want to kind of scroll through. So I can see that Clay's reacted to a message in a chat with me and Kathy. There's Chris mentioned something in the Synergy Technical team. And I can actually even scroll through it and start getting additional information. So I can see that on 4-3, I missed a call from this phone number. I could actually come here and I could call that person back if I wanted to. So it's really just a feed of everything that's happened within your team's client. Chat is exactly what you think it is. So we have this concept of persistent chat in Teams. And persistent chat is all of the chat messages that you've had with someone since you've been in that Teams client, or since you've implemented Teams. And so Sharon Eggleston is our HR manager, and you can see that I've been having conversations with her for forever. The nice thing here is that in a distributed environment, Sharon's working from home in Mechanicsville, I'm sitting here in Midlothian, we can have sort of some real-time conversation around some information that I might need. So I sent her a message on the 2nd at 2:05. She responded at 2:06. I responded at 2:07. We had some back and forth. But the great thing here is that if I need to go back and I need to find something related to this conversation or to a conversation that I've had with Sharon, it's really super easily accessible. And I can see even that she's seen this message. The calendar view is really a view of everything that's going on. And this actually also shows anything that's in my Outlook calendar. I don't use my Outlook calendar anymore. I live entirely in my calendar in Teams. Certainly they're a little bit interchangeable. I just find that I have more functionality in the calendar. But so you can see that, all of my meetings are here. This was last week, but I have access to sort of everything that I need. I can see what my recurring meetings are. I can join meetings if I want to. Everything's visible to me. Calls we've talked about a little bit. We use Teams as our PBX, so we have telephony integration with Teams. So I have a speed dial where these are the people that I probably call the most. I don't know if that's good or bad for them, but those two are at the top of my list. So if I go into calls, I can see that. I can also see availability information here. I can really see that anywhere from Teams, but this is a quick, easy view. So I can see that when I took this screen grab, Adrian was available. If I wanted to video call him, I could do it really quickly. If I wanted to just voice call him, I could do it pretty quickly. I can see that Dan was slacking off and he was away. So I've got a lot of visibility into what's going on. I can also, if I want to, dial an external number because this is my PBX, so my phone number follows me everywhere. So if I wanted to make an external call, I could do so. I can create groups of people if I want to. So I've got a lot of functionality. I can listen to my voicemails, I can see all my phone history, kind of all of that. Files is going to allow me to view all of the files that I have worked on recently. So I can see that when I took the screen grab, I had just worked on this presentation and it's saved in my OneDrive. I can see that I was working on a PowerPoint slide that is saved in this team. So it's in the Synergy Technical team under approved marketing content. So I have really quick and easy access to everything it is that I've been working on. I forget things and I forget where I save things. So for me, this is really handy because I can just pull things up and find them really quickly. The other thing that I can do is if I have additional cloud storage that I want to hook in here, like a Dropbox or something else, I certainly can do that. We keep everything within Microsoft technologies, but if you're using Teams and you have Dropbox, you can certainly connect that to your Teams client. So with that, what I want to do, I wanted to level set and kind of show you where things were in Teams, but what I really want to do is give you kind of an overview of what a day in my life using Teams looks like. It feels like it's quarantine day 2432. I don't know what day it really is. We might be in day, for Synergy, I think we're in our third week. And probably like you, I'm all my days are running together. But this is a typical day. This is actually going to be yesterday for me. And I did not warn my staff when I was taking these screen grabs. So, if any of you are on, I'm sorry, I apologize in advance. So the first thing that I'm going to do in my day is I'm going to set my status. And so I'm going to come up here into my Teams client, and I'm going to click on this guy, and I'm going to set my status to available. And we use these statuses a lot. If I'm in a meeting, my status will automatically change to busy. So it's going to be based on my calendar. I will occasionally set my status to do not disturb if I want to be heads down working on something and not have a bunch of messages kind of popping up in my face when I'm working on something. Or if I'm doing screen grabs, that would be the other reason not to do that. I will change my status to be right back or appear away, depending. So when I go to lunch, I might put it to be right back. And we're being really super focused about that in this whole full-time work from home environment, because Teams is how we know if someone is available to work. And the challenge becomes that when you're working from home, you almost have to purposely step away and say, okay, I'm going to show that I'm away so that I can take a break, because otherwise you really end up working, 7 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. So we're being pretty purposeful about setting these statuses. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put a custom message, and I can do that up here. So I can be a little bit sarcastic about the custom messages that I put. And I think it's become sort of a game with all of us to see who can be as funny as they can be. Not because we think the situation is funny, but because if we weren't laughing, we would all be crying. But if I send this message, I have the option to tick a box here that says, show this when people message me. And what that will do is if someone sends me a message, they're going to get kind of right up here that message. It's not going to block them from sending me the message, but they're going to have a pretty clear idea of where I am. We do that very specifically because, say, we're all working from home and someone goes to lunch, and maybe Rebecca takes her lunch normally from 1 to 2. She'll come in here and she'll update this and say, gone to lunch. She'll set it to display for an hour. And that way, if anyone's trying to reach her, we know she's gone to lunch, but she's going to be back. Because again, in this work from home environment, what we don't have is the ability to look out, across the office and see, is someone gone to lunch? We really have no idea. We just know they're green or they're yellow. There's nothing else. So we're trying to be really super purposeful in our communications around that. So I'll go ahead and I'll set that message, and you'll see it's going to display until 11:59 p.m. And I update those pretty routinely, actually, throughout the day based on what it is that I'm doing. So the next thing that I'm going to do on any given morning is I'm going to send out a message to my entire team. I'll tell you that when I'm in the office, I am not someone that goes around and says good morning to everybody. I beeline into my office, I get started with my day, I do what it is that I need to do. Working from home is a little bit different because what I don't have is that visual check on everyone as I walk through the office, or the casual conversation that you have, when you go to get a cup of coffee or something. I don't have any of that. So I have no way to know, are my staff okay? And is everyone doing well? So I'm trying to be super purposeful in making sure that I'm doing a gut check with everybody every morning. So what I'll do is post on our all company channel something. And in this case, I'm saying, hey, happy Monday. And with my sarcastic self, I'm asking if anyone went anywhere fun this weekend, because I know none of us could go anywhere. And I'll go ahead and I'll post that. I also followed really quickly with a picture of what I did. I went to get some Gelati Celesti ice cream, which was awesome, by the way. Posted that, and then immediately you can see from when I posted this at 7:51, Terry's chiming in, Clay's chiming in, Adrian's chiming in, Matt's chiming in, Patrick's chiming in. And actually, if I went out and I looked at this post now, there would probably be 50 messages from people. And it's really a way for us to, again, bring everybody back together and make sure everybody's okay. And we know that, we're all in this together and everyone's got each other's back. So that's really, I care what people do over the weekend, for sure. But what I really want to be sure of is that everyone's okay and everyone is continuing to recognize that they're part of this larger team, which is Synergy Technical. So the next thing that I'm going to do on any given morning is I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to see what I've got going on. You'll see that I block time on my calendar where I don't have people book me. I do that for a whole bunch of reasons, but the primary reason that I'm doing that right now is that every department has a daily stand-up meeting. And it's a 15 to 20 minute meeting that all the department members get on a call, or on a video, they all check in, they set the agenda for their day, and they roll through the day. And we're doing that because obviously we're not all in the same place. And some of these departments, like the support team, Clay's team has always been very distributed, but about half of them have worked out of our Richmond office. And so we just want to gut check and make sure everybody's got their priorities for the day. And again, it's another chance to make sure everybody's okay. So I've blocked my morning so that I can drop into these meetings if I need to. I don't drop in to every meeting, but I'll try and hit one of them a day and just make sure that I'm touching base with individual team members and can look them in the eyes on video and just make sure that they're good. Yesterday, I was in particular focused on this marketing team meeting, and this is a team meeting that happens every single morning. And so what I wanted to do was to prepare for that particular marketing team meeting. So you'll see in my chat, I have pinned different conversations. One of the things that you can do is you can actually pin a conversation thread related to a meeting. And so I've got the marketing team meeting pinned because it's a meeting that I actually attend daily. I'm very, very involved with our marketing team. So I go to the team pin or the meeting pin, and you can see kind of all of the conversation threads that have happened within the meeting. You can actually, if you look at this, see the various start and stops of the meeting every day. You can see conversations that have happened in the meeting. In this particular case, on the 2nd, Lucy had to step out of the meeting because her bagel was going to catch on fire in her toaster, and she wanted us to know where she was going. But so I'm going to prepare for this meeting. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the meeting notes. And meeting notes in Teams, this is really just a wiki. And so you can create a section. And what we've done is we've created a wiki section for every day. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to review the team agenda and add anything that I feel like we need to go over for that day. And I'm just prepping for the meeting. So the other thing that I'm going to do, I wanted to have everybody look at this presentation. So I went ahead and uploaded this presentation. And in reality, this isn't an upload. What this really is me sharing the OneDrive file that I have to this team. So even as I continued to edit it, they could go ahead and they could make changes to it. So I went ahead and I uploaded that to the meeting. And what you'll see is everybody in the meeting got a notice, and this was before we ever joined the meeting, that I had shared out this file. I actually inadvertently did it twice, so I deleted it once. Adrian, who attends the meeting, which is at 9:30, has already looked at the content, and he's saying content fresh from the oven, and that's because he can see that I've got screen grabs from the Synergy team from earlier in the morning, and you can see we're having a whole conversation about this. This meeting hasn't even started yet, but what we're doing is we're making sure that everyone's prepared and ready for the meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join the meeting. I've got a whole bunch of options here. So first I'm going to join with my video on, and you can see I'm pretty casual when I'm working from home, so I got my ball cap going on. I'm going to join muted. I don't have to. I can choose to blur my screen or not. I didn't. I could, certainly. But I'm going to go ahead. Oh, look at that. It wants to give me updates. This is very typical Microsoft stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to join this meeting. So you can see how excited my team is to be on a meeting with me at 9:30 in the morning on a Monday. But we're all in this meeting and we're joining with video because we're really purposely trying to make sure that everyone's engaging and seeing each other and doing these check-ins. So again, I've got some controls here. I can control my video, I can control my audio, I can share my screen. This little ellipsis guy is going to allow me to start recording if I wanted to, or turn on transcribe. I can I can view the meeting chat, and I can view the meeting attendees, and of course, I can hang up if I want to. So this view here is when I've hit the attendees, I can see all of the attendees in the meeting. So this is everybody that was in the meeting. Christina's name being bolded means that she's the one currently making noise at the time. And what Christina's really doing here is that her dog wants a treat. But I point this out because if you as a presenter want to figure out who's got the background noise happening, you can really tell pretty quickly. I can mute all if I want to, and that is not obvious where it is. So if you're using Teams, it's actually, you have to view the attendees. I can actually pull somebody else into this meeting if I wanted to, either internally or externally. via teleconference or via video. Doesn't really matter. So I've got some controls there. I can display the meeting notes. And so what you can see is that we actually update these meeting notes real time when we're sitting in this meeting, because we're talking about the various topics that need to happen. So we're updating meeting notes. So the point here is that we're using all of these technologies to make sure that while this would normally be a meeting that we had in the office, because all of these people sit in our Richmond office, we're just moving on and we're carrying on and everybody's sitting in their separate location, and we're getting done what it is that we need to get done, and we're communicating pretty effectively. So the next thing that can happen in my day, and this happens all day, every day, is I might need to work on a document with someone. And so we would do what's called co-editing a document. So again, I go to my chat and you can see I'm having a conversation with Dan. And again, persistent thread. So you can see us joking around about me starting drinking at 4 o'clock yesterday, because we can do that occasionally now. But I sent him a message this morning and said, hey, can you co-edit some notes with me? The great thing is immediately he can respond back and he can say, yeah, I can, but I'm on the phone with Patrick and Lucy right now. And I'm just saying, okay, ping me. So he pinged me, and what we did was we immediately turned this into a video conference, because again, we're trying to be purposeful in making sure that we're meeting face to face in everything that we do. So we turned it into a video conference, and so we're logged in as me, and Dan is editing it right now. I'm getting an internet connection unstable message. That's awesome. This is the fun of working from home that everybody is experiencing.
Yeah, just had your audio drop out for half a second, but you're back. So
yeah, something happened with my internet, because the whole world is working from home right now, and therefore, who knows? I don't. Maybe there's a calculus exam happening right now. I got no idea, but it's all good. So anyway, what you can see is that Dan and I are co-editing this document together. And we do stuff like that all the time. We do it when we're working on project proposals. We do it, our engineering teams do it when they're working on various customer-facing documents. The point here is that, again, we're not skipping a beat. Even though Dan and I are not in the same location, if we need to work on something together, we can do that real time, and we can actually be looking at each other and editing the document together. Another thing that I did yesterday is I emailed to a channel. And so I'll tell you, I'm pretty anti-email, and I'm pretty anti-email because I get somewhere in the neighborhood of 350 to 400 emails a day. And I'm sure many, many people are experiencing that. So what I try to do is eliminate the noise for people. So we're a fast track partner with Microsoft, which means that we get this really nice little newsletter that's got a bunch of links to it. And in a normal scenario, what most people would do is they would just forward that in email to everybody who needed it on that team. What I'm doing is I'm actually emailing it to a team in the general channel in the sales team. And so what you can see is once I've hit that email, I'm now in the general channel of the sales team. This has been actually posted as a message, and all of these links that were links within email are now links within this message. And so what this does is it allows our sales team to go and look at this when it makes sense for them, and I'm not bombing their inbox with stuff that isn't really urgent. So what we're trying to do is take the noise out of the inbox. And I don't necessarily want to say we're putting noise in Teams, but we're trying to put things in Teams so that people can go look at them when they have time, and they don't necessarily have the angst of, I've got 300 emails in my inbox and that, 250 of them are unread and I don't know what to do. We're trying to shift all of that and say, okay, let's put it where it makes sense. Another thing that I will do, again, I tease people that, I'm not young anymore, and so I forget where things are. I forget who sent me what. I forget stuff. So what Teams will do for me is it'll allow me to find files or conversations or things really, really quickly. And so yesterday I was specifically looking for something related to Fast Track. So I came up here and I typed Fast Track into my Teams search. Um, First thing it's going to do is it's going to give me anything with a title of Fast Track in it. So you can see I had a bunch of meetings that were related to Fast Track. There's different channels with Fast Track. So I went ahead and I searched for that. It's going to give me back a whole bunch of different results. I actually pivoted to look at just files, and I want to filter Fast Track files that are Word documents because I'm looking for a very specific Word document that had been saved to a team, and I just couldn't remember where it was. So I can filter down to view only Word files. And from there, these are the Word files that have Fast Track in it. It's not only in the name, it's actually searching content. I can actually click on it and view the document to figure out if it's what it is that I'm looking for. So it gives me a really quick and easy way to find content that's been shared with me that I may need to access. Other things that I will do, and our whole team works this way, so I might need to meet with somebody about something. And so again, I'm going to go to my calendar view. I'm going to create a new meeting. I could do a meet now if I wanted to. In this case, I need to be meeting with Dawn Lewis. And what I was really looking for was some time today on Tuesday, and he didn't have any time available. So what I really did was I clicked on his name, which brought me to the persistent chat that I have with Dawn. And I sent him a message saying, hey, I'm trying to find 30 minutes on your calendar. We had a whole conversation around when I could book that. I ended up booking it on Wednesday. But the point here is that it was super easy for me to pivot between scheduling the meeting, he was unavailable, having a conversation with him, and then booking it without necessarily having to pick up the phone or hop on a call. We just had a really quick interaction and moved on. And Don does work from home full time. He's worked from home for 15 years or so. So this is a very natural interaction for him, but it allows us again to just kind of keep rolling along where I don't necessarily have to go looking for where somebody is or to get an answer. So that's my quick overview of Teams. What I want to do is give you just a few tips around how to maintain these effective communications. We're not the best at it, but I feel like we're doing a pretty good job. First thing is, I would highly encourage you to build a sense of community by giving people a really central place to communicate and make it fun. There's some organizations that wouldn't allow the type of postings that we do. We have some crazy stuff that certainly comes up in our all company thread, but in a situation like we're in now where everyone's remote, there's this sense of angst with everyone. I think the ability to let people have lighthearted kind of group team communications is really, really key. So if you can give people a place to do that and they can still go on with their day, I think it's a great way to make people feel like they're together when they're really not. I would highly encourage you to check in on people more often than you would in person. As a leader, they need to hear from you and they need to know that you know they're there. They need to know that you care about them. They need to know that you've got their back. The way that we're managing that is through those daily stand-ups and through that, our all company team and the interactions that we're having. You've got to be really, really purposeful around that. That's true of employees. It's true of customers. So we're doing video conferences with customers and Teams meeting with customers all day long, every day. And we're turning video on when we're doing it. Again, if you're going to have daily stand-up meetings, which I would highly encourage you to do with every department, even, we're not talking development departments, we're talking HR, accounts payable, accounting. get those people together every single day and let them get on video and let them have conversations, because those people are used to coming in every single morning, looking at each other, having idle chit chat by the coffee maker. They're family to each other. So if you can give them a way to every morning get together and have that face-to-face, one-on-one time, absolutely do it. And give people tools for real-time collaboration on documents, presentations, and stuff, because again, they're not sitting side by side right now. You need them to feel like they are. And even if it's not Teams, find a tool that they can do that so that they can feel like they're able to do their jobs effectively, number one. But number two, that your business can keep moving forward. Because again, we're not talking a week, we're not talking 2 weeks. As it stands right now, we got June 10th. I mean, that's a long time. So if you can give people a way to collaborate real time, do it. I would highly recommend trying to reduce your email clutter and using some other channel. It gives people a lot of angst if they've got a bunch of unread emails. Don't use email for one-line replies back and forth. That just creates clutter. It creates more work for people. So if you can give them another channel to do that in, be it Teams or something else, I would say do it. And turn on your video. I mean, I over and over again can't stress that enough. We've been doing some crazy things around team meetings. We'll have crazy hat day. We had bring your pet to work day, which is sort of silly because we're all working at home with our pets. But we're really trying to embrace the reality that we're in, turn on video, and make sure that everybody's feeling like they're seeing everybody else. So just a couple common questions that we get asked, and then we can open it up for any questions. Can people who don't have Teams join a Teams meeting? Absolutely, yes. They can join via the web. If you're using Chrome or Edge, you can turn on video conferencing. Any other browser, you're going to be voice only. But those two browsers actually will allow you to turn on video also. Can you display more than 4 people at one time? I get asked this question every single day. No, today you cannot. I know that that is coming. I don't have a timeline on that. For me, I would choose 4 people and a secure solution over an insecure solution that displays 24. That's me personally. You guys can make decisions around that. Can I control who can create teams? Yes, and you should. You should create a governance plan for teams, because Teams is really fun and it's really great, but you could easily end up with 300 teams if you were not careful. So certainly you want to handle it like anything else and create governance for it. And is it possible to moderate a Teams channel? So maybe you don't want to let people post everything that they feel like they need to post. Yes, you can. We take the approach that, we're all big boys and girls here and we're adults and we've all signed the employee handbook, and we know when we post something that's inappropriate that there could be repercussions, but certainly you can moderate that, and you can make sure that other people, that you're making sure that content that isn't appropriate is not being posted. Difference between Teams and Zoom. Zoom is a video conferencing platform. Teams is a collaboration platform. Teams allows you to share voice, video, content, integrate with other third-party applications, which we haven't talked about at all. But so they're different. They each have their place. Teams is what we use, again, to kind of maintain continuity with everything. And that's what I have. So Dan, if you want to open it up for questions, I'll go ahead and turn my video on and you can.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ro. And again, if anyone has questions, please feel free to either come off of mute or through the question and answer or the chat section. I'm monitoring those as well and can verbalize anything you drop in there. Ro, I think one piece to mention too, we had a question drop in here. From Mike, to your comment about creating a sense of community, where does Yammer fit in within an organization now that Teams is becoming so pervasive?
We get asked that a lot. There's no good answer to that. What we're seeing is that with smaller organizations, so maybe organizations under 500 employees or so, Teams is probably the better solution, because you're only dealing with one tool. Yammer is a little bit better in larger organizations because you can set up more channels and maybe make it a little bit more intranet feeling. I don't know how else to put that. But there's some gray lines. I'll tell you that we've asked the question of Microsoft several times, is Yammer going away? The answer that we're getting right now is no, but the guidance that we are getting is if you're a smaller organization, Teams maybe would make more sense.
And there's a question from Chad of why the preference of Microsoft Teams versus WebEx Teams.
We are a Microsoft partner, so for us, and Dan, for some reason, I got you big on my screen. We're a Microsoft partner, so for us, we're obviously going to use Microsoft tools. I don't have any experience with WebEx Teams to know if it's better or worse, the same. But for us, this is the tool set we use because we are a Microsoft Gold partner.
And those are the questions I'm seeing right now. There was one point around the chat functionality, Ro, that I think you have a nice qualifier for, that you've even messaged internally, where because you can see the person's presence and maybe they're showing red for being busy or in a meeting, and if you're still going to drop a chat for can we talk after you're busy or do you have free time, that is the virtual equivalent of walking into someone's office.
Yes, yeah, absolutely true. And I think that's true with any instant messaging client. People will use chat. So people are hesitant to walk into my office 500 times in a day, in and out, in and out, in and out. They're sensitive to that. People don't think the same way with chat, and they should, because chat is a virtual break into your workspace. And so as we're working from home, you have to be sensitive to that. So if you're pinging somebody all day long, it's probably better suited for a video call and to just get that question answered, or to say, hey, do you got a minute? When you get some time, can you help me? But yeah, I think people forget that it is absolutely a virtual intrusion into your workspace, for sure.
And we have another question from Chris. It is, how do you manage retention policies, and are there third-party tools you use?
So we use the Microsoft retention policy tools. That certainly there are third-party tools out there, but for us, and our clients typically will always use the Microsoft, litigation hold tools and kind of all of those. I can certainly, if we want to take it as a follow-up, get some detail on that for Chris. I don't configure those things. I just use them. We've got engineers that will do that, though. Adrian could certainly answer that.
And those are all the questions I'm seeing. So we may take this opportunity to wrap up. I want to thank everyone for joining the session today. Hopefully you took away some good tips from Ro and the tools we use of how to communicate effectively across our team, whether they're sitting in Richmond or India or Canada or wherever they may be. So I appreciate everyone joining. And if you do have follow-up questions, I'm sure you can reach out to RVATECH and Nick, who hosted this webinar, or they can get you directly in touch with us.
Yeah, and be safe, everybody. I mean, the more we all stay home, the sooner this thing will be over and the sooner we can all get back to our lives. Because I really never thought I'd say this, but I want to go back to the office. All righty. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.